Bone, introduce your friend over here, would you?
Okay, this is Frederick Cole, better known as Time Bomb, OG, Matthews Park.
What's up, General Public?
Now, you were kind of surprised that I didn't know your name right away.
No, I just thought maybe you probably had heard it before, though.
Because?
Because of my background and my crime.
Tell me about your background and your crime.
I was involved in the shooting of one newscaster, Jerry Dunphy, in 1984. You know, I did 7.5 years in prison behind it. Nothing to be proud of, but that's where I learned how to be a man. You know, how to be strong with myself and want to get something out of life.
In many ways, you talk about being up at Folsom the way I talk about going to Syracuse or Stanford, right?
That's university.
That was my university.
And Folsom, San Quentin, places like that is our university. That's the only place we get to learn.
The first time I was arrested, I was, what, 10 years old for breaking an entry. And from there on, it was on. Back and forth, in and out of jail. But the last time I served 5 years for attempted murder, armed robbery. And I ain't been back since then because I don't plan to go back.
Talk to me about what's going on right now. As far as the violence, yeah, with the riots, with the Rodney King thing.
It's just a lot of built-up anger and frustration. You know what I'm saying? They saying that, well, we burning down our own community. I mean, we don't own none of these liquor stores. Every so many yards you walk is liquor stores. You know, we don't own none of this. The brothers is just frustrated, man. They just got fed up with it.
When we say come together as blacks, and let's make a point here and a stage to the United States of America that blacks are not down no more. They got to come back up. We got to come back up and stand
when
together.
When you talk about coming together,
coming together as a whole.
Symbolically, we could talk about the Crips and the Bloods, right? Now
we ain't talking about that. This ain't one of them things.
It isn't.
No.
Explain to me.
It's not one of them things for us, Crips or Bloods, or going and robbing a liquor store, or going down the street and looting the market or something like that. You know, what you talking about?
When he says blacks come together, it's not just that's not the only place we're divided. That's just one small fragment of it. You got Crips, you got the Bloods, you got the Muslims, you got the Christians, you got the black on black crime, you got the bourgeois blacks, you got the lower class blacks. You know, we as a people, we're divided in many different elements. You know, not only the Crips and Bloods. The only thing people focus on the Crips and Bloods so hard is because of the death toll. You know what I'm saying? Like the West Bank and the West Bank and Israel. You know what I'm saying? The same way, the death toll.
Yeah, you know what? They always want to shine a spotlight on us when there's a drive-by shooting and an innocent victim has been hurt. But what about that? What about that flyby that the United States just did on Iraq?
You killed 500 babies off top.
We can't excuse anything that happens anywhere, anytime, anyhow, if we're going to point to what governments do and say, well, if governments do that, that makes anything that anybody else does.
I never said it made right. No,
but let's not use that as an argument right now. What I'm trying to say is, what's it going to take to get this community straight? What's it going to, and when I talk about this community, I don't mean this little community right here. I mean Los Angeles, white, black, Korean, Hispanic.
Okay. You got people who've been working 10, 15 years out of jobs now, and now they're right down here in the same so-called melting pot or the same boat with us, and so everybody has animosity towards everybody. Now some of the people who never wanted to go to our school systems are going to the same school systems with our children, and now we got all different cultures right here on the bottom. They say LA is such a diverse and multicultural community, in which it is, but the communications are broke down because you got your Koreans feeling they're better than the blacks, you got the Latinos feeling they're better than the Mayatas, you know, but we've been here on the bottom for the longest. Now they're dropping a little bit of everybody in here, and this is where the problems are starting to come, you know, and now it's not just a black-white thing. You know, when somebody say that, now it's a rich poor thing.
Let me ask you a very provocative question. This may make you all angry when I ask you the question, but before the Koreans, it was the Jews, right, who used to own the stores, and you were just as angry at the Jews as you are now against the Koreans. And if the Koreans ever pull out, then it'll be the Laotians or the Cambodians or the Vietnamese or someone will move in. Why is it that black people can't run those stores and make money? Go ahead.
When you get a foreigner that can come to this country and step to a bank and get $20,000 with no problem, they can open a business any way they want to. You see what I'm saying? But now here I am, I can't even get a bank account. Born and raised in America.
It's too easy to say they can just walk into a bank and get a $20,000 loan. You know, banks don't give out loans like that unless there's unless they got something.
Collateral.
Collateral, exactly.
The collateral they get you, like you said, you got your grandfathers, you got your fathers, you got all these generations who had something. You know, maybe not a lot. Maybe that second generation of grandfather had a piece of property and he passed it down. But like our forefathers, they never had pieces of property. They always been renters.
The only thing that we can pass on is the fact that
there you go.
My father may have been a criminal because he had to feed his family and couldn't get a job. And then he became a criminal because he had to break in or rob and steal and do what he had to do to feed his family. He got that to hand down to me. So now I got that to hand down to my son.
Bo, let me ask you a question. You got children?
Yes.
All right. I was talking to Little Monster before. I mean, we said it on camera, so I hope you won't be offended if I say to these men here. And I said to him that I was sure if I asked him if he was afraid of getting killed, he'd say he's not afraid. But if I put the question differently and say, how do you feel about your little boy? That's a different thing, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
You know, that's my jewels. That's really all I got. You know, that's what brightens up my life. You know, their innocence, just their, you know, the way they feel about me. Of course, I mean,
as you all over
any
again.
human being. Yeah, you know, you can lose a child in a car accident. You're gonna feel the same way. You know, of course, I don't want my daughters. I got daughters, or I'm sure he doesn't want his son to walk into his footsteps. You know, I'm not trying to raise my son's or daughter as a bad gangster. Right. You know, they don't even know. All they know me by is daddy. Not Bone, not no gangster or nothing. They don't know none of that. So when they look at me, they see daddy, the provider. You know what I'm saying? I love them, they love me back.
So what is it that's going to change things for your little girl?
First of all, my little girls don't even stay in this community. First of all, so that part is covered.
Why?
Why? Because they don't live in this community.
Why not?
Because I'd rather have them live elsewhere.
Why?
The same reason you don't want to live here.
Same zone.
The same reason.
I want you to say it. I mean, you know, let's be honest with
Nobody want to raise their kids in a war zone.
You're afraid for them, right?
Yeah. I'm afraid not only for them, for anybody's kids. Not only just for my kids.
If you can, do that, because this is such a common sight in our community. This is such a common sight of criminal possession.
And those are Crips right
there.
Yeah,
they are.
235.
See, Ted, now you're in jeopardy right now. You don't even know it. One of them cars can easily pull up and say, oh, they're going to park boys right here. And they can come right here with an AK-47, and you are in jeopardy. Right now, you are in jeopardy.
As you can see, a person right there throwing up signs.
You see him throwing up signs? You see him throwing up signs at us?
That's what the reason why I bring our kids around here.
This is what he's talking about. I'm going to show you something else you didn't see. You see Freddie Cole gone. You know why?
Why?
Because he's going to try to protect us. He's got some stashed around here. So if they try to do what they might do,
they gonna get there.
He's going to try to, you know what I'm saying, protect us.
No, there was a California Highway Patrolman.
No, that wasn't a highway patrolman.
No,
that was a funeral guard.
Funeral guard.
Yeah.
So he's not carrying.
Oh, no.
He ain't got no gun.
Yeah. That was
his job is to stop traffic.
That was a very, 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 very small funeral. You know, there's been times when funerals come by here,
been loved.
And 2 or 3 cars pull here and they shoot, and the homies shoot back, and they went right down Broad, right there. Really, that was disrespect to us right there. That's it. You know, but really, they having a funeral, maybe if they wouldn't fly any colors, it wouldn't have been disrespect. You see, they had them on the antenna, so they wanted us to know. They didn't come by here just by accident. They could have took Maine, they could have took any other street they wanted. Yeah. You know, but they came right past Athens, Parkton, you know.
All right, now do you understand how someone like me, who hasn't grown up here,
yeah, I understand that,
thinks that's just crazy?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not bad enough that whoever that young man is died. Now someone else has got to die.
See, but I'm gonna tell you something. The death of a loved one will motivate you to kill.
Look, there's nothing new in all of this, right? This is as old as human beings, right? What I'm trying to get to here is, throughout history, nations have stayed at war or have gone to war every 30, 40, 50 years because they're not able to do what you say you're not able to do. They're not able to forget.
They're dead.
They're not able to forget they're dead.
I can tell you what will make people forget they're dead. And it's very simple. We've seen it for the last 3 days. Common ground. Now, for the last 3 days, we ain't been tripping off our dead homeboys. Yeah. They ain't been tripping off their dead homeboys. We tripping off these police.
But the fact of the matter is, the cops out there, in the long run, no, wait, let me finish. They're going to outgun you. Either they're going to outgun you on their own, or the National Guard's going to come in, the Marines come in, the 1st Airborne comes in, whoever the hell it is that comes in, and sooner or later, we're going to have nothing but funerals going through here.
All right. But you know what? Let me tell you something, though. Sometimes it's an honor to die fighting against the establishment. I'll give you a case in point. I watched those little youngsters on the Gaza strips throw rocks at the Israelis, and while the Israelites just shoot them down with guns. I watched them arm themselves with rocks, and they die with honor. You know what I'm saying? I heard some of the homeboys say, if I go out, man, this is the way I want to go out, trying to get me one of them.
But let me tell you the difference between a leader and a real leader. The easy answer right now is to get everybody angry against the police, is to get everybody angry against the establishment. The more difficult answer, the more difficult form of leadership is to be able to say, that's not an answer. We've got to get beyond that. Because when the killing's over, we're still going to have to we're going to have to clean up. We're going to have to rebuild these buildings. We're going to have to start businesses again. We're going to have to find homes again. We don't want our children to be killed. We want them to have an education. We want their lives to be better than our lives were. Right? Am I right?
Right. And it's going to happen.
How?
And it's going to happen because the bottom is going to come to the top, and the top's going to go to the bottom. So what we feeling today, you might feel tomorrow.
Let me say this, Ted.
Maybe not in my lifetime, but maybe not my kid's lifetime. But it's going to happen.
Let me say this, Ted. You know, I went to college. I took history 7 times because it was so thrilling to me. Okay. And one thing that I've learned through history is that every great empire will fall and be turned upside down. And America's an empire that will eventually fall. It's still a relatively young country, 200 and some odd years old. But it will fall just like the Romans fell, just like the French fell, just like the Egyptians fell. It will fall.
When you and I were driving over here, you told me that, I don't remember your exact words, but I don't think I'm far off, that the greatest document you've ever read, better than the Bible, was the U.S. Constitution.
That's right.
Tell me what you meant.
What I meant is that the way it was worded and what it should actually stand for, if it stood for what it actually should, it would be the greatest thing ever. And still today, it's the greatest piece of paper ever written. It's the greatest words ever put on paper. But those laws, the Constitution does not apply to us.
That's right.
What does apply to us is the 14th Amendment, which says slavery is abolished except upon conviction. Now, ask these brothers out here if they have any convictions. I bet you every brother out here got a conviction.
Right.
So we've been a slave at one point in time or another.
California has, I forgot how, I think 36 prisons in one state. 36, and they're still building.
And still building.
And still building.
On a daily basis.
That's right. They got a 24-hour building going on. It's called the Twin Tower Correctional Facilities. Right down there, right across the street from already a county jail.
Right, in downtown LA.
Right. They're building another correctional facilities right on Imperial and Atlantic, right in the community. So these guys who live in these projects, he's liable to go to jail and be right across the street from where he lived and watch his mother go to work all day while he's doing time.
But it's like this. If they think that they're going to play our community that close by putting a plantation right in the heart of our community and we're not going to get our people out of there, they're sadly mistaken. Sadly mistaken.
I don't have a question. You ask why this is happening? Because my country, 'tis of thee, is a racist land of liberty. Land where my father died because he was chained and he was tied from every mountainside injustice rings. No justice, no peace. First there was quiet, then there was a riot. This was a dedication to Rodney King, who was riding down the road, 9 out of 10 didn't do a thing. Just the color of his skin was enough to bring him in, dead or alive, lucky to survive. We all saw it on the news show, LAPD Gestapo. And thanks to the video that was shown, the whole world knows what black folks have always known. Out in the street, don't worry about the thief, you better worry about the police chief. We'd rather have the inmates than have Daryl Gates and be living in the police states. No justice, no peace. First there was quiet, then there was a riot.
Thank you.
Was any type of organization to what was going on out here? No. This was not talked about other than the fact that numerous brothers and sisters, again, not only in this community, but other communities said if they come down with a non-guilty verdict, it's on.
Now, Will Monster, probably the most famous piece of video, just as the beating of Rodney King became known worldwide. People saw it again and again and again and again. There was a piece of action that took place right behind me here in that intersection over there that has become almost as famous. And that is when a white trucker was pulled out of the cab of his truck and beaten nearly to death. All right? Now, I'm not going to ask you whether you were here, but I'm going to ask you whether you know what happened.
Yeah.
And why.
I know what happened. You got to understand that what the people saw was not the entire event. What they didn't see was 100 police that converged upon us on this corner right here and tried to manhandle our homeboys. You know, They had sisters in headlocks, and basically what happened was we weren't going for it. We weren't going out like Rodney King. So when we pushed them up out of here, after they escalated the violence, hyped up the tensions, they retreated. And what they left was a bunch of brothers and sisters out here in the street, highly upset.
And what did that have to do with that trucker?
The trucker was not black. That's what had to do with it.
That's all he had to do, was not be black.
That was his claim to fame. He was not black.
I mean, that's pretty sad, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, you know? I mean, but isn't it pretty sad that Rodney King, that the pigs got off?
But at this point, all that came to mind was the oldest cliche in the book: 2 wrongs don't make a right. That trucker hadn't done anything to anyone in the neighborhood. He was just the wrong color in the wrong place at the wrong time. Everyone is quite willing to concede that.
But tensions were high, okay? Again, it was a volatile situation anyway, okay? Now, basically what was going on in this intersection, that everybody that came through here that was not black was in trouble.
If I'd come walking through on that day,
you would have got it too.
At that time,
you would have got it too.
I would have been killed.
Yeah. Possibly not killed. I mean, no one got murdered out here. Not that I know of, you know. But I believe that you would have got it too. Yes. You know, just as Rodney King got it as a black motorist in the middle of the night by all white officers.
Ask some of your homeboys to come join us here for a minute. What's up, Chief? We were just talking about what happened here, right, a couple of days ago when that white trucker got pulled out of the cab and got beaten up.
He knew better. He saw what was happening. He watched TV, watched news, everybody else.
You should have known better?
He should have known better. We know better to go to Simi Valley, around with their trial. We can't go out there and express our feelings like we can out here. When the police came,